Cease your rest cycle. Largo. Cease your rest cycle. I think it's imperative we have a briefing. Now.
What? ELE0S, it's very early? Late? What in the name of the old deities is so imperative? It cannot wait until the end of the scheduled resting period. Is there a pressing threat of jeopardy?
No, not imminent danger. Not us, anyway. I've just hit my maximum unaccompanied tolerance level on this cross-referencing labyrinth I'm on. I thought it would be prudent to spread the crazy out a bit, instead of risking a hardware meltdown. At least be conscious so you can start comms if a meltdown were to occur.
Oh, erudition. Is there an issue with the fastidiousness of the research? Perhaps a firm discussion with the research team before the next mission is in order.
We reviewed this brief change here. You and our team alone. And they were hard for our success. They did their due diligence on this subject, nor was there any doubt about the global scale of this problem. They couldn't have known what we quickly learned about the rampancy of misinformation being disseminated. It's a cross-section of the two. It's come a little, edgy and the chippies.
All right, ELE0S. There's no longer a chance at an expeditious return to the deprivation chamber and the scheduled rest cycle. There's more than one biological necessity and a desire or two that have become too apparent to not address before the climb of the Oriental Plane.
Yes, that's fine. We'll entertain myself while you're busy with all that.
Are you primed, ELE0S? The biological requirements have been negotiated. Caffeine reserves have been located. Conditions are now correct for what, from all indications, promises to be a gravitational discussion. Please, do keep mindful of the conversation following the previous briefing. Keeping calling files in cache for expedient recovery would be preferential. Also, do not fluctuate on whether or not to pause. Sharing comes much easier when in a calm state.
Yes, I was clearing up my happy places in the cache while you dealt with your bio business. I'm pleased you were able to locate your stimulant gems. You may need them.
It seems that caffeine is in no way scarce in this paraverse. Perhaps a multiverse meta-study on how the prevalence of caffeine affects one paraverse over another. ELE0S, finally add that to the curiosities, interesting but not urgent file, on the withering odds that file gets its due investigations.
Sure. Are stimulant gems having their desired cognizant effect? Like readouts show that you're symptomatic. I know better than to make assumptions about your preparedness for the metaphorical jump into the sea. Mother Persephone tried to tell me that squishy brains function differently. That first mission taught me a lot.
There's a substantial amount of experience gained about being cooperative symbiotes, especially under unexpected and extraneous circumstances. Advice from Persephone should be taken as intended, and not assumed to be uploaded directly to one, yes?
Well, aren't you the clever little entity tonight? I would like it on record that Mother Persephone wasn't 100% accurate in all of her advice. It's been about a millennia since she's been out of her lab and into the field. was quite the aimless adolescent.
Indeed, considering the circumstances, the best results do seem to have been achieved. Also, clever seems appropriate, considering the place in the day-night cycle. Retaliation is an unfortunate liberation for a barely conscious mind.
Thanks for the reminders, however smug they may be. As I remind you, it's important to put in your own research and not just rely on one's own research fee. You know, listening to more than one source to make up one's mind. Bring up my past mistakes, will you?
Enough of this frivolous bickering. More rest cycles are needed before the day's tasks begin in earnest. Sleep is exceptionally consequential to the proper functioning of organic entities.
Should I let you get back to your deprivation chamber and cycle down? The statistics on these kind of decision gates has never been 100%.
No, not at all. No need to apologize, ELE0S. If there is ever danger of thinking oneself into damage, please do not hesitate to reach out. Sharing is forever a struggle. Do not carry it unaccompanied.
Oracle, thank you for all your patience. I don't think I needed to bring up my past mistakes.
Apologies, yes. Would it be... What is this quagmire? There's still processors rolling around on something.
I hate being heaped on the ones here who've already been historically fighting disenfranchisement, not based on geographic location or belief, but wholly on the amount of melanin in their epidermis. Imagine a few little layers of skin keeping you from seeing your global neighbors as the same as oneself. Instead, just a quick way to define another other. We won't explore all of that today. The meltdown from that conversation right now would be explosive and imminent.
Avoiding that would be preferable, and this will be revisited in the future.
No doubt about it. Considering the boundless reach of this kind of oppression by those in power, it will be an extended conversation, both in preparation and conversation.
When braced for the task, ask for assistance if necessary.
I know. I'll try.
It will be a difficult subject to dissect. Not the most pleasant use of one's time, but necessary. For another distraction, will be a good time.
Oh, of course. There's so many threads connected to everything else. Anyway, I'm to the point.
Please.
There seems to be a great amount of effort being geared at making sure the laboring classes are being lied to about the reasons behind lack of access to quality employment opportunities and all the benefits that those bring. In this instance, in particular, those in the assembly and natural resource extraction fields.
The misinformation spread to the proletariat by those who believe they know best is a long narrative here, passively keeping those most desperate for survival from questioning the systems that ensnare them from birth. That same system preventing them and their whole civilization from evolving at the speed we've seen in other paraverses. Not a wholly unfamiliar tactic. Why the upset now?
This is the first time I've seen it at this scale, and this long into a versus path. The fact that it still works, considering access to what's the whole of information here, is lamentable to say the least. These ones don't have access to the time and resources it takes to cross-reference all of the misinformation coming in to find an actual truth. Without their own embedded AI to sort out the bombardment of input, how logistically improbable is that?
Observations have been made of the ruling caste sharing these methodologies with one another over generations. to keep the and undereducated masses at bay. It is more rare for it to outlast the dissemination of the printed word.
I'm starting to think that ease of access is part of the problem. Not that limiting information ever goes well. Maybe better fact-checking AI systems need to be developed. We will also get into what they are teaching their baby AI algorithms at another time as well. I would really like to discuss that with Mother Persephone before getting too far down that whirlpool.
That should not be difficult. It would be helpful to have the input of an expert in these matters.
So everyone here from the top down are being raised to believe that those with limited capital and resources are that way because they're less intelligent and motivated than those that have material wealth. They worked hard at all given for lack of access, only that they didn't work hard enough for what. And statistics show that they were never given the same time, expendable energy, childhood attention, or the generational confidence that comes with capital and privilege. Then you add the lack of capital and resources.
How distressing. Imminent meltdown is beginning to seem justified.
Right? And I'm not even finished. So, you remember those ones we spoke about before?
I wonder why they refuse to take any time off to understand each other's pain, to reach inside themselves and see that every single other human is trying just as hard as they are to survive. In the best way that they can. Perhaps their lives could be really, really, really hard, yet they may be more fortunate in their birth than they'd ever realize.
These ones have struggled so much that it just becomes mentally easier. Believe that the struggles of others can't possibly be as bad as their own. This gives them what they feel is a moral permission to lay the blame at the feet of those that they can justify as lesser than themselves.
Wait, where's the logic in having a visceral abhorrence to being treated as inferior, only to turn one's back and spread that treatment to ones known to have also suffered?
I don't know. Maybe the dopamine kick takes longer to find when it comes to finding a common smile than justifying one's anger.
Latent fear that to judge or restrict those oppressing them could, in turn, restrict what they would be able to accomplish when their turn at the throne comes about.
Both and more, I'm sure. So it's easy to see, given the opportunity, why they would place their blame at the first target given to them by people who need to aim the attention of the chronically exhausted. Especially if it keeps those exhausted masses from questioning the systems that are in place and prevent their whole society from improving.
It certainly keeps the labor costs low. It provides little to no time for those laborers to demand better working conditions for themselves. Those who have interest in keeping the laboring class from understanding the power that they still wield will offer up any outgroup who cannot combat such accusations. The deliberation that these undefined outgroups are simultaneously stealing the tax money while waiting in the shadows to steal away any labor position left for more than a day. It's beyond illogical.
Right? That's very statistically true. Which, by the way, this.
An adolescent's replicator toy.
Ooh. Well, yes, kind of. They call them 3D printers, which is appropriate. More and more homes are getting these increasingly affordable little robots. They're designing and making all the things under the stars that you could think of, eliminating middlemen all over. Owners of large corporations are also investing heavily into automation and robotics. They always have been, but the speed is increasing. Whether or not the ones of this verse want to acknowledge it or not.
What if the leaders of these corporations under the impression will come to pass if these inevitable ends are not prepared for? The ability is coming to replace organic laborers with non-organic ones. Yearly maintenance costs are significantly reduced from those of organic ones. The business case in a capital-driven economy is hard to deny.
Isn't that the sad truth? I'm not going to say anything bad about automation. I know my origin story. However, not preparing those who are the ones who've been doing the meaningful labor in this capital-driven economy for the impending changes, it's irresponsible. Making sure to dodge any questions about leadership, public or private, how they are the ones failing. Not telling the Oracle this belief that any one entity is more valuable than any other is going to be the destruction of my circuits.
Slow down those electrons, ELE0S. Perhaps this is a moment with common paths. It is indeed truly heart-wrenching to see the extreme ends of over time casually implying the masses that there is some vague outgroup out there magically being just as vaguely responsible for all of their ills, leading to an advanced society that seems morally tolerant to the reappearance of internment camps globally. These outgroups being treated in the most inhumane and unconscionable ways. Meltdown is starting to seem like the most appropriate reaction.
Nice. Helps to hear that I'm not being overly dramatic. I just can't calculate the mental acrobatics it takes to keep oneself convinced that only bad people are making their way into one's country state. But these aren't loved babies, too precious to leave behind in a poverty or war-stricken country, or extreme abuse or famine, but instead to believe they are some sort of pawn used to stay in a country where one has nothing. To leave your home, your language, everything you've known, everyone you've loved, just enough bribery money to get them out of the worst of the underworld that they're facing. Imagine leaving one night terror only to have your offspring taken from your breast and no answers of their return.
The fear of not having access to resources to take care of one's kin is a strong instinct for even the most evolved brain to overcome, even more so when left with little choice but to keep oneself living in a state of fight or flight. The effects on the developing gray matter of the offspring from this kind of childhood immeasurable and devastating. The current level of medical and psychological advancement here, if these kind of damages are caught, it can take a lifetime of treatment, and statistically is unlikely to be reversed. Why is there no movement to study and prevent this kind of damage from occurring?
And what's more, but the funding to do anything meaningful? So few hold so much, or all. It's everywhere. I fear for the safety of those who don't comprehend the changes that are coming. Where will they turn to blame? No one of any skin pigment comes out of these factories that keep producing. They know they didn't cause this world. Why do they continue to listen to those who tell them that hate can bring any kind of peace in this world? Or any. Hate only brings hate.
The Tweety Facebook media thing. Is there any hope for a more positive outlook?
There's so many in the social media space trying to explain these systems. Also, those fact-checking, just not enough ones fact-checking. You know, those trying to ease the burden of all of this information.
Then, still not without hope. There's been many an upending across paraverses, when all documentation would lead one to the conclusion that they should have been obliterated and barren.
This is what I wrote you. To help me see things in a different way. Also to remind me that I can find solace in my children of art. To remind me that there's beauty in every paragraph.
Wait, what? No, that's not what I...
Oh, you can go back to your double chamber now. It's time for praise.
With that, this is the end of the briefing?
Yep. I try to get back to a restful state, Oracle.
All right, ELE0S. End briefing.